Good evening, Cuyahoggans and residents throughout Northeast Ohio. This is indeed a sad day for the state of Ohio and for our residents of Cuyahoga County. At 3 o'clock, we received the sub-bill from the state Senate. It's the first offering of their budget that came in to us at Cuyahoga County and to residents throughout counties throughout the state of Ohio. It's a sad day as we look at the budget priorities of the state Senate and the state House. It's a sad day for many reasons. When we look at what's being proposed by our state Senate, we see a proposed budget that will benefit billionaires to the expense of everyday working residents of Ohio and of this county of Cuyahoga. Let me start with just a simple rundown of some of the things that we see coming out of this budget from our early analysis. First of all, the state of Ohio Senate is looking to flatten the tax to 2.75 and will give billionaires like Jimmy Haslam the same tax rate as teachers, as firefighters, as police officers in our community. 98% of the tax benefit would go to the top 20% earners in Ohio, those making more than $139,000 a year. But let's look at the cuts, and let's contrast the cuts to what's being given away, and frankly, your pocket is being picked to give $600 million to Haslam Sports Group for the sole purpose of their next version of Cleveland Browns Stadium. In the wake of that, we're seeing nearly $100 million cut from library funding from what was originally proposed by Governor DeWine. We're seeing cuts imminent to Medicaid in the state of Ohio. That $600 million giveaway, that's a pocket pick to you residents, could actually support 50,000 persons on Medicaid. It could support 15,000 new teachers in Ohio. But instead, they're giving it away. They're giving it away to Haslam Sports Group, $600 million of your taxpayer dollars. They're picking your pocket. We see the methodology that the state Senate has presented to pass through your dollars to Haslam Sports Group for Cleveland Browns' next stadium as really a loss of their moral compass. This budget, as proposed by the state Senate, is morally bankrupted. What they've come up with is a $1.7 billion fund for stadia across Ohio from your money. This is bypassing even a tax. It's going straight into a fund called unclaimed funds. That's your money. That's your family's money. That's your relatives' money. I urge you, Cuyahoggans, to look up what's in the unclaimedfunds.ohio.gov account for you, because that's what they're coming after. They're coming after roughly 18% of that fund for the sole purpose of building a stadium in Brook Park. To me, it's piracy. It's picking your pocket, taking the funds of your hard-earned taxpayer dollars and funneling it right into a single-purpose facility in Brook Park. This is not robbing Peter to pay Paul. This is robbing Bob and Betty Buckeye to pay Jimmy and Dee Haslam. Picking the pockets of Ohio taxpayers and handing cash over to the Haslams. Your money, earned money, your tax dollars, your unclaimed funds. They're literally taking 50% of the state's unclaimed funds allocation, the money that Ohioans have earned, and they're giving it to Stadia, and of that, they're giving roughly a third of it to Haslam Sports Group. It's unconscionable. That's why today I say, watch your wallet. Don't let your pocket get picked. Check your own unclaimed funds at unclaimedfunds.ohio.gov. Make sure you get your money before they get your money. I've never seen a budget proposal like this. We urge Governor Michael DeWine to line item veto that portion of the Ohio budget if it comes in with $600 million coming from the unclaimed funds that are Ohio taxpayers' dollars. I've been clear from the beginning that here in Cleveland, if we're talking Browns, we have a doable plan downtown. We have a plan that does not rely on the source that the state Senate is giving away to Haslam Sports Group right out of your funds, in the unclaimed funds. Never has the state dictated to us where local funds can go. And what I want to say by that, there's an element of this budget that addresses a sports sin tax, something that we in this community actually voted for in 1991 to help support then Cleveland Indians and the Cleveland Cavaliers and today's Cleveland Guardians and today's Cleveland Cavaliers, at today's Rocket Arena and today's Progressive Field. But those two entities are actually also in jeopardy because Haslam Sports Group has gone down to the state, end-runned us, and put themselves in the middle of that future adjustment to a sin tax to help the arena and the ballpark. So now we have a problem that the Cleveland Guardians and the Cleveland Cavs also suffer along with us. So my remarks today are twofold. One, don't pick the pocket of hardworking Ohioans for the single purpose of a new stadium in Brook Park, but that's what you've done, State Senate, by proposing an allocation from the unclaimed funds department of the Commerce Department of Ohio. This is your money. This is your parents' money. This might be your grandmother's money. This might be your kids' future money. Instead, it's funneling off to Brook Park for the single use of a stadium to support billionaires by taking your money out of your pocket and funneling it to Brook Park. And on top of it, two good partners in our community, the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Cleveland Guardians, may suffer too with a sin tax allocation that will fail on arrival, and it will be dead on arrival when it arrives here in Cleveland. So we say to the governor of the state of Ohio, when you get to conference committee this month, be mindful of the hardworking people of Cuyahoga County and the other 87 counties of Ohio. Be mindful that these are their funds in the unclaimed funds department that the state is simply the steward of and is held in trust to hold those monies for the rightful owners, which are the people of the state of Ohio, not Haslam Sports Group, not for the single purpose of Cleveland Browns Stadium. We have said here in Cuyahoga County, we will protect the taxpayer, and we have. We received a letter on May 15th from the Cleveland Browns that said they don't need our county money, and we're going to hold you to it. But now you've end-runned us with the state Senate, and you're going right past tax authorities and going right to the actual funds that are owed the people of the state of Ohio in the unclaimed funds department. It's a sad day in the state of Ohio. It's a sad day for Cuyahoga County. It's not right. This is a morally bankrupted budget, and we urge the governor to line item veto those portions of it that just don't make sense. We urge you to think about restoring some of that $600 million to our libraries, to our schools, to our Medicaid coverage for our citizenry. This hurts today when we see a legislature that has just bypassed the interests of everyday people in the state of Ohio and here in Cuyahoga County. Thank you for being here. Again, don't let your pockets get picked, and I urge everybody tonight and the days forthcoming to check out unclaimedfunds.ohio.gov. That's your money, not the Haslams. I can take questions.
The sin tax, have you had a chance to look at that proposal? Because it looks like they're only allowing an increase of a certain part of the sin tax too.
That's right, Rich. We have asked the state legislature to work with us to support the facilities that house the Cleveland Guardians and the Cleveland Cavaliers. We have asked them to simply adjust the sin tax allowance from early 1990s to adjust it for inflation so that we could present to the voters an opportunity to support our gateway facilities. But instead, Haslam Sports Group end-runned us in that process, found themselves downstate, are proposing to take a third of those funds, and what's being returned to us by the state is actually half as much as we asked for in this budget. It's 2 times, not 4. 4 would have been the actual inflation-adjusted amount. And in the 2 times, not 4, it doesn't get the job done. So who suffers? The Cleveland Cavaliers, the Cleveland Guardians, and their fans.
The NFL called in Roger Goodell essentially to go and talk to various lawmakers. The Haslam's have said they're going to have a permanent presence there. Brook Park has said they're going to have a permanent presence there. Do you feel like this is a direct reflection of kind of the heat that they've increased now that they've said they're not going to take any of the county's money?
It's conjecture as to what their motivation is, but it seems to me that Haslam Sports Group is taking money wherever they can get it. They're taking it from the state of Ohio to the tune of $600 million, but they're really taking it in the Senate version of the bill right out of your pocket, right out of everyday people's pockets, right out of workers' pockets, because those are your funds in the unclaimed fund department, and that's just a cash transfer, not even a loan as it's been presented by the legislature. It's not a loan. It's a cash transfer of funds out of an unclaimed fund source for the specific purpose of building the stadium. It's highway robbery. This is private. This is piracy. You know, I mean, when I look at this, I've never seen anything like it. So as far as what their motivation is, to me, it seems to just get more and more and more and more. And we've said in Cuyahoga County, we're not standing for it. We're holding you to your statement that you don't need us. But just this last week, the city of Brook Park has asked for $80 million for infrastructure, and we assume that that's just the beginning. And you know, when I run down the numbers, $600 million for the stadium, we could address the roads and bridges budget in this county for 10 years for $600 million. Our annual budget is about $68 million for all the roads and bridges across this. But look at this giveaway, $600 million for a single purpose. And then another $80 million ask, which is more than our whole annual budget at Cuyahoga County for roads, bridges, and sewers. So when you look at this, this is upside down. And it's just total piracy from the public treasury.
You answered my question there. Again, over the past couple months, it seems that the Browns are trying to pull money from this pocket, this pocket, this pocket. I mean, immediate reactions when you saw today's Senate proposal, what was your immediate reaction to this latest endeavor?
It seems to me that with the state Senate leadership, the Haslams are more important in their eyes than the people of the state of Ohio. And to us, the people of Cuyahoga County are much more important, and that's why we've defended them left and right from this kind of piracy. I just, for the life of me, can't understand how a legislature could give away $600 million when we've got a problem with our school budget, we've got a problem with our library budget, and you know, you do the math on $600 million. Again, what does it equate to? It equates to 50,000 people having Medicaid coverage. It equates to 10 to 15,000 more school teachers in our community. It equates in our state. It equates to in our case, 10 years of roads and bridges budgets here in Cuyahoga County. This is a zero-sum game, and we all stand to lose, not only in our communities where we lose infrastructure support over time, but in our own wallets when we lose monies right out of the unclaimed funds. Again, check unclaimedfunds.ohio.gov.
Would you qualify this as a risky business venture?
We already have. March 19th, we held a press conference with you, and our analysis that we conveyed March 19th was that this is an overly risky venture. We encouraged the Office of Budget and Management and the Legislative Service Commission to do their analysis. Both have conducted that. Both have concluded that this is an overly risky venture. I can't for the life of me understand why the House and Senate leadership would bypass the bipartisan fiscal advisor that is the Legislative Service Commission, and hopefully the governor won't bypass the Office of Budget and Management's advisory, which is this is too risky. We've all concluded that it's fiscally too risky, but for some reason, legislators are going right around that truth and going right to Brook Park with a boondoggle that is funded through your dollars out of the unclaimed funds. We were shocked today at 3 o'clock when we received this information that this was the source of funds that they're going after. It's shocking that they would go after your money, my money, your parents, your grandparents, you name it. That's their money. And it's shocking. And that's why we are here today holding this press conference to let them know, first of all, claim your own funds because they're coming after it. And number two, this is a risky venture, always has been, and now they're asking for infrastructure dollars. So yes, everywhere they can go to pick a pocket and grab a penny to make this project work, put your own money into this, Haslams. Put your own money into this. Take your own risks. finish if you got to. We think, and we've always said, downtown is the doable plan. But if you have to leave us and you have to go, you do it with your money.
Is there almost a belief of where does this end then? If they're taking 1.7 from it now, is there a chance that further down the road, more could be coming out of that pool? And I know for many people, like at least for me, I didn't totally realize they could take it from that portion.
Right. It was, to us, it was an alarming revelation that the state Senate has decided that this is the source out of unclaimed funds. Never seen anything like it. And for us in Cuyahoga County, we keep looking at three things. One, the risk to taxpayers, which we will not put them at risk, but frankly, Ohio taxpayers have been put at risk today. But we can only account here in Cuyahoga County for not putting our Cuyahoga County residents at risk. But they are. They're at risk because of this state budget. And I would encourage everybody to contact the governor to say veto this line item provision. But risk was our first concern. Second, from what made sense and what was doable, we always proposed that the downtown for the Cleveland Browns Stadium was doable, to renovate the stadium and to support the infrastructure of downtown and everything that's been built around it. That was our second point. And then our third point is to have people recognize that we have other professional sports teams in this downtown, namely the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Cleveland Guardians. And today, I think they actually got a hit. They got hit by this because, go ahead, Kim.
There was another proposal, Lou Blessing has a bill
Yeah.
that would use tax every wager on some sports gambling in order to sort of pump up maybe
Yeah.
the amount that, in light of this, would you be behind that, or, I mean, do you
Yeah,
have a better idea if you had a rock and hard place?
Yeah, I've spoken with Senator Blessing. I've spoken with a lot of the state senators. Frankly, the one that we think at this juncture does make sense is what the governor originally proposed with the out-of-state gaming tax. We support that. But again, with Haslam Sports Group, it never seems to be enough, and it never seems to be fast enough. And everything to them seems to have had to have happened yesterday. For us, we have to balance a lot of priorities in this community, like our schools, like our libraries, like our police and fire services. And we think we have a doable plan to get a stadium done downtown and frankly support three major facilities downtown with the syntax as we had proposed it. But we had to put that to the voters. And today they delivered damaged goods on arrival. There's not enough money in their proposal for the syntax to get the job done. And on top of it, they're picking our pockets with the unclaimed funds for $600 million.
If the tax is split three ways between three stadiums now, how does this hurt the Cavs and the Guardians?
Well, number one, current generation generates somewhere between $4 and $5 million a year to each team. Future generation, as we had proposed, it would have been about $15 million per team. What today's allocation will ultimately cobble together is about $8 to $9 million. It's not enough to get the job done. So the Cavs and the Guards, with deferred maintenances that they have, hurt from this because it's not enough. And our thinking is if the Browns are on the ballot with the Cavs and the Guards, polls have already shown people are tired of the Cleveland Browns, and that it actually jeopardizes the Guards and the Cavs' chances on a ballot initiative. So this is a very, very, it's a morally bankrupted budget, but even the things that we thought we would get addressed, like the local ability to levy a tax, the state has put its hand in it and dictated the terms on which that would be levied. They need to walk that back. They need to walk that back, and maybe the governor vetoes it. But for us to put something on the ballot that would be dead on arrival doesn't make any sense.
Has it been through OBM and LSC, have they looked at it? Can they actually take these
They
money?
certainly can, and we encourage them to look at it, but this is 3 hours hot off the press, 2.5 hours hot. Yeah.
Have you heard anything, you people down in Columbus, have you heard how this is going over? Does it seem to kind of come out of nowhere?
Yep.
You know, is this kind of a surprise maybe for some of these senators?
We heard from scores of people from other counties. We heard from staff at the State House. We heard from people who work closely with the legislature, and everybody was surprised at the source of funds that are intended to be used for Haslam Sports Group Dome Stadium proposal in Brook Park. Everybody that we've talked to has been surprised that the unclaimed funds, the very precious funds that perhaps an elderly resident has lost in the shuffle of a move, funds that went to a previous mailbox and are owed to them, funds that they worked hard for in their job and haven't claimed because they didn't know it was there, you're going to go get that money. You're going to get grandma's money for the purpose of giving it to the Haslams. I mean, that's why we said this is robbing Bill and Betty Buckeye to pay Jimmy and Dee Haslam, who already have enough money to self-finance. But look, at the end of the day, we have said it over and over again. We hope the Cleveland Browns come home. We hope they come home to downtown to a doable plan that they first proposed to us, renovating that facility, working in partnership in the same sandbox as the Cavs and the Guards. What makes Cleveland special and Greater Cleveland special are 3 professional sports facilities within walking distance. That's what the Detroit team has done to bring the Lions and the Pistons back. What makes us a national model is actually the presence of those downtown stadia. But for some reason, they had to have it all. They had to hightail it to Brook Park, maximize their profits, and socialize the risk. And we've said here, that dog doesn't hunt. We're not going to socialize the risk in Cuyahoga County. But today is a sad day in the state of Ohio because every resident of every county of the 88 counties across Ohio are getting their pockets picked with a proposal by the Senate to use unclaimed funds as a source for $600 million. And as I speak as a leader of Cuyahoga County, as an executive of Cuyahoga County, I can tell you the opportunity costs. I can tell you that that's 10 years of roads and bridges budgets for us. I can tell you that that's a lost number of public school teachers that we can employ. I can tell you that safety and fire services are compromised. And I can tell you that any county commissioner throughout Ohio can say the same. And we hope in the reconciliation process that is called the conference committee over the next 2 weeks in this month, that they get wisdom, that they get sense, and that they realize that it's a boondoggle that they're funding for Haslam Sports Group, but even worse, it's taking away money from everyday residents to fund a billionaire on their journey out of town.
What's the path forward from here? I feel like you've been making this argument since late summer, early fall of last year. Obviously, the House found it prudent, in their view, to do the $600 million through a different funding mechanism.
Right.
The Senate has now said, yeah, we're on board with $600 million, so we're going to completely change the funding mechanism.
Right.
Do you feel like anybody's listening?
Well, that's the point. We need to keep making noise downstate. We need to let the senators and the House of Representatives members know downstate that this isn't acceptable and that they find some reconciliation through the process of the conference committee. This is a day of reckoning. This is when people have to look themselves in the mirror and say, am I going to help citizens in the state of Ohio, citizens like our Cuyahoga County residents, or am I going to harm them by taking money out of their unclaimed funds and bringing it to a single-use facility out in Brook Park to fund a billionaire's plan? This is a day of reckoning. But to your question, Michelle, Governor DeWine has a lot on his shoulders. And I think a lot of people are going to be looking at him to do the right thing and veto, line item veto, the elements of the budget that just don't work. And this Brown's boondoggle just doesn't work. And we will continue to make our case downstate to state senators and representatives and the governor himself. We've got about a month. It's a critical month here in June as they head toward a June 30th budget deadline. But today was a sad day in the state of Ohio, and we're pointing it out. We're pointing out that people's pockets are getting picked and that this is not something that we here in Cuyahoga County want to live with. Again, I keep thinking of the opportunity costs. Our roads and bridges budget is a tenth of what they're giving them. Our Medicaid concerns of coverage for people that are the working poor in the state is in jeopardy. Our libraries are underfunded. Our schools are underfunded. And this is, again, unfortunately, a morally bankrupted budget. When you look at it, a budget is policy, and look at the policy. Fund the billionaires in their stadium outside of the downtown, or fund real people of Ohio with their education needs and their health care needs.
Then a clarifying question on the sin tax, just because a couple different numbers have been thrown out there. So what were you hoping to see in the budget proposal that came out today versus what you are seeing?
Well, I want to say from here in Cuyahoga County, and I've talked quite a bit with Mayor Justin Bibb about this, all we want is to have local control with our local residents and our local voters. We want them to determine the destiny of where this all goes. We don't want state legislators to come down from on high and tell us where their tax dollars of the people of Cuyahoga County are going to go. But today they did. They told us which teams would get the money. They told us the proportional allocation of where that money would go. And on top of it, they didn't fund us enough to actually move the needle to make the improvements that we need to make at Rocket Arena, and Progressive Field. So the proposal for the sin tax as designed by the state Senate in their version is dead on arrival here in Cuyahoga County. It doesn't get us where we want to go. And so what good was it? And we look at this, and this has just been obviously aggressive lobbying on the part of Haslam Sports Group to get their way. But in getting their way, nobody gets their way. I just want to say in closing, thank you to the members of the media for being here. Thank you to our residents here in Cuyahoga County and throughout Northeast Ohio. This is a very difficult day. The budget that came down from the state Senate and the sub-bill today shows where their priorities are. And we've got to see this right course. We've got to help our schools and our libraries get funded. We've got to see our working poor continue on with health care. We've got to see our roads and bridges be improved here in Cuyahoga County. And the great sucking sound of the Brook Park boondoggle will be that for years and decades ahead. All we ask for from Cuyahoga County is fairness, a fair budget that helps working families. And what we saw today from the state version of the sub-bill as it goes into conference committee is everything but that. We saw in that bill something that strips away dollars from working families, strips away our schools and our library dollars, and sends it all to a billionaire's boondoggle in Brook Park. We're not